Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my book, 1001 Street Fighting Secrets. Now this massive book is considered by many to be the official Bible of my contemporary fighting arts system. So without any further delay, let's take a look and see what's inside of 1001 Street Fighting Secrets. Now, before diving into the contents of 1001 Street Fighting Secrets, I'd like to share a couple of interesting facts about this book. For those of you who don't know, 1001 Street Fighting Secrets was originally published by Paladin Press. Now here is the original draft of the text that I submitted to the publisher. I mean, this thing is absolutely massive. I'll just go through it real quick to show you how much. And I know what some of you are thinking, right? You're saying to yourself, well, it's not that big, right? Because it's only single-sided pages. But what you're forgetting is the other side, the blank side, was for all of the photographs and illustrations for this book. So I think it's a fair assessment to say that this is truly a beast of a book. Now here is Paladin Press's version of 1001 Street Fighting Secrets. And needless to say, I wasn't really happy with the cover. I didn't like the size of the book. I felt it was too big. And what made matters even worse was that Paladin Press was charging a real premium for this book with a retail price of $42. The book still did well in sales, actually did really well in sales, but I wasn't crazy about the format and just the overall book itself. But you know, when you hand over creative rights to the publisher, your hands are pretty much tied. Incidentally, this is the actual concept cover art that I submitted to Paladin Press, but unfortunately, they actually had rejected the image. I can't even understand why. This was done by a student of mine named Daniel Ree, and if Daniel, you're listening, thank you very much for the work that you did many, many years ago. So you have obviously you have the Reaper with the cityscape in the background, and over here you could see the silhouette of people fighting and engaging in combat. So this was the cover art, and it was rejected. So what I did is I actually included this in the updated new version. You'll see in the back of the book, you'll see this picture has been reprinted in the inner matter of the book in the back. So after Paladin Press closed its doors several years back, the publishing rights of 1001 Street Fighting Secrets reverted back to me. So I overhauled the book and updated the text and the photos and the cover, and here we are. I think it's a much better presentation of what's involved in the book. I really feel, especially the cover art really captures the essence of the material in this book. Wouldn't you agree? Now, this new and improved version of 1001 is approximately 440 pages. It's available in both Kindle, paperback, and in this version, which is the hardcover, which I absolutely love. Here is the paperback version. This is an ARC copy, which stands for Advanced Reader Copy. That's what it says, not for resale. This is usually what I get from right before it goes to actual print, so I can look for any mistakes or typos or formatting issues or anything like that. So this is your paperback, this is your hardcover, and of course the Kindle version. So we're gonna go through the ARC version of it. We're going to look at the table of contents. We have an introduction, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 total chapters, and a glossary, of course, suggested reading and viewing, and about yours truly. So this is essentially the structure of the actual book. Let's take a gander on chapter 1. So chapter 1 is Street Fighting Fundamentals. So this section here is all about the basics. Anything you could imagine that deals with the fundamental concepts of self-defense, of personal protection, and of course of street fighting. So it goes from everything from all the different stances in my system. It goes through everything, kicking techniques, punching range techniques. It just goes through the gamut. And lots of photos to accompany the text so you have a really good idea of what I'm talking about. So I'm just gonna page through it fairly quickly. So here we are, chapter 2. Chapter 2 is training and conditioning. So this chapter is devoted, of course, to how you're going to train, how you're going to prepare yourself for a self-defense situation, a street fighting situation, any situation that requires you to resort to self-defense tactics. So we talk about some of the preliminaries. We talk about everything from how to hit a bag to even using hand wraps, because there's some people that like to wrap their hands, even though in a street fight you don't have time to wrap your hands. But I really didn't want to leave anything out. Doesn't that look like Jeff Bezos? Anyway, so let's move on. So we're talking here about different aspects of training and conditioning. Then we delve into sparring, and I go in a lot of the different sparring concepts and principles. I even include routines and workouts. I talk a lot about compound attacks, solo trading, partner trading, and you can see as I go through it. So again, lots of information. We're going to skip through that. Chapter 3, attributes of combat. These are qualities that will make you a better fighter. Attributes are something that many people neglect in their martial arts training. They simply go to the technique and they don't work on the technique from an atomic or granular level. So anyway, we go through here, we're talking about attributes of combat, everything from being intuitive to being adaptive, situational awareness. A lot of these concepts were updated with this new version that I just published. So you'll find it to be quite enlightening. Again, we go through here, just lots of attributes that will improve your self-defense skills and improve the odds of your surviving the situation. Chapter 4. And Chapter 4 is tactics and strategy. And these are little things such as, where to look at somebody in the eyes, or how to cross the street, or, how to determine if your opponent is right-handed or left-handed, or it's just so many little things that most people don't know about, even martial artists. So a lot of things are common sense, but there are a lot of things that people just don't know about. So that's what this is all about. And it has varying levels of tactics. It goes from a very fundamental level of tactics and to a very advanced level. It really it covers the whole spectrum of skills and abilities. And that's what I really liked about that. Okay, talk a lot about the adversary and how to assess him during self-defense situations. Of course, Widowmaker's in here. And by the way, Widowmaker did not appear, and Raising did not appear in the original version. So since the first publication by Paladin Press, a system of martial arts has to evolve over time. With contemporary fighting arts, things have been added to the system, and very few have been taken away because it's pretty much a timeless system from my perspective. So that's tactics and strategy. Let's get on to grappling and ground fighting. Yes, a martial art or self-defense system is not complete unless you have a very solid ground fighting methodology within the system. So, and again, there are many martial arts out there that don't even talk about the ground, and they're deficient, and they will not work in a self-defense situation. I will take that to the grave, by the way. That statement to the grave. Anyway, so we talk about grips, we talk about different submission techniques, the difference between nuclear and conventional ground fighting skills, which is a huge difference in terms of what you can do and the amount of damage that would be inflicted on a threatening criminal adversary. So here we are, we're talking about a lot of do's and don'ts. So each one, as you see, each submitted secret is usually a paragraph long. I try to keep it as simple and as direct as possible so you could easily pick it up. And what a lot of people seem to do is they like to read a secret per day, and they process that secret throughout the day. They think about it, they contemplate it. And so that's a really good way. Instead of just reading it through, you can say, okay, I'm just gonna read one secret a day, and I'm going to try to conceptualize it throughout the day. And these are nuclear tactics, by the way, ground fighting. Then we talk about how to train ground fighting, not like a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter or a MMA fighter. We're talking about reality-based self-defense, guys. That's what I'm all about. That's what I always will be about. So this is geared for that particular type of scenario. Next, in chapter 6, we have bludgeons and stick fighting. Now, a lot of martial arts, again, they don't cover weapons. And again, the weapons that we use in my system are all predicated on being practical weapons. So we don't use a staff, and we don't use nunchaku, and we don't use a lot of those antiquated weapons of self-defense that are just completely impractical and for many intents and purposes are useless. But I'm not going to go on that diatribe. I will skip that. So again, stick fighting and bludgeon training, how to defend against it. Again, this is not just offense, this is defense, how to defend against it. So throughout the entire book, it's offense and defense. It's not just offense. Talk about a bludgeon defense stance, which is very important. It talks about different blocking structures, and it talks about training. And then chapter 7, knife defense and knife fighting. Again, people always mix knife defense and knife fighting up. They mix them up all the time. A knife fight is when both you and your adversary are armed with an edged weapon. Defending against a knife, it means you're unarmed and he has the knife, which is a very, very dangerous situation. Even knife fighting in itself is just as dangerous. So I talk a lot about the stance. I talk a lot about the different knife defense techniques, how to protect your blood vessels and flexors, type of clothing to wear, how to create distancing that you should expect to get cut, makeshift weaponry. Then we go into knife fighting skills. We talk a lot about the law because, look, you may win a knife fight, but if you end up in prison because of the knife fight, what purpose did it serve? Your life is over. So the idea behind a knife fight is, one, to always avoid it at all costs, and two, if it ends up that you have to resort to deadly force, God forbid, you're going to do it where it's legally and morally justified in the eyes of the law. So I talk a lot about that. I talk about the different types of weapons you can use, grips. I talk a lot about the strategy of the actual points of the blade people don't talk about. And again, this is my perspective of self-defense. This is what is involved in the contemporary fighting arts system. So it's a lot of information. It will take you a very long time to read through and process this information because it's just a truckload of information. Training, again, there's always training at the end of the chapter. And then chapter 8 is firearms and combat shooting. And we talk a little about the Second Amendment. We go into how critical firearm safety is and the different safety rules, how to take care of your firearm. We talk about the nomenclature, mechanics, because my goal was to educate you so you don't just own a gun and point and shoot. You really understand everything about this weapon, these weapons, rather handgun or shotgun or long gun, whatever it is that you decide. Ammunition, I talk about different ammunition criteria. I talk about the possibility of malfunctions and how to clear these malfunctions. I talk about the different stances. I talk about everything. People don't realize, but I'm a certified NRA instructor on personal protection. I'm certified for marksmanship and also for home firearm safety. But that was my foundation. I went way past the training and integrated into CFA, and it's a completely different animal, our firearms training. It's nothing like the NRA. But I will tell you, the NRA is very, very, I would suggest everybody take an NRA course. They know their stuff. Targets. We have all the different types of targets. My targeting system is different than most conventional methods. You'll read through it and see why. We talk a lot about tactics in a firefight, everything from different shooting positions, crisscross techniques, fatal funnel, limited penetration. A lot of these are military and law enforcement concepts. I also talk about dogs, not using dogs as weapons. As you guys might know, I'm a huge proponent for animal welfare, and I have very strong feelings about using any type of animal for personal protection. Sorry if this offends you, but that's what I think. Let's see. And by the way, I'm going to be doing an actual video on animals and using them as weapons for personal protection. We talk about home invasion, how to prepare for a home invasion, how to deal with an intruder in your home, especially the legal ramifications and how to best go about a scenario that occurs with a home invasion. God forbid you should ever be faced with that. Then I go into gun disarming techniques, really important about the different concepts and tactics when being held up at gunpoint and when to decide to initiate a gun disarm technique. Because you only get one chance when dealing with a gun disarm. So I talk about that. I talk about legal considerations about shooting, training, the proper way to train. And chapter 9 is devoted to philosophy. I really like the background images of the skulls. So we have axioms and principles of my contemporary fighting arts system. These are my philosophies. Some of them are quite controversial. Hopefully most of you guys will agree with them. And if the others don't, well, it's too bad. But I just feel very strongly about some of the things that I've said in the back of the book here. And again, these have been updated from the original book. Of course, every book has a glossary of terms in the back. Let's see, and then of course you've got yours truly. Now here's the interesting thing. It's 1001 Street Fighting Secrets, but if you look, it goes all the way to 1000. And that's the reason why is because 1001 is left blank. And I actually talk about this in the book. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, I talk about the final secret. The final secret was left blank because you, the reader, should try to find out what it is. There's a clue. The book was written with some secrets placed in a unique order. To this day, I don't have anybody except for one person who knows the answer to this, what the final secret is. So if it's something that interests you and you want to go down that road and try to figure it out, so much the better. But I thought it was kind of a nice little Easter egg for my constant readers to try to figure out what the final secret is. So here's the book. I'm going to actually use we're going to use the hardcover. It's a better example of it. So here is the front. This is your spine. And this is the back of the book. So do you own this book? And what are your thoughts about it? If you do, please write down in the comment section below what your experience with the book has been. I'm going to put a link in the description if you want to purchase the book. And that's it. That's 1001 Street Fighting Secrets. And again, guys, thank you for taking the time to watch the video. And I'll see you at the next video.